You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.
Here we go. This is the hour of love, and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM. When I think about the word love, as I said, it's a big word. You know, love is not just physical, it's not just for a woman or for your mom or for your dad, it's also love for humanity. I really believe when somebody is trying to warn us of dangers, of imminent dangers, like for example, experimentation, like you want to call them chemtrails, you want to call them weather modification, you want to call also biological experimentation, because there's more than just weather modification. It's also experimentation on us, civilians, we the people, against our consent. And when there are people out there, take their time, take their lives, dedicate pretty much almost everything to try to create products like DVDs, like these documentaries that brings awareness. It is an act of love. I really believe that. I remember for me, one of the first really videos or documentaries who gave me the opportunity to articulate all the suspicions that I had at the time about what's happening in the sky when you see all these airplanes crossing each other and spraying these sort of things that is not vapor trail. This is something that even a cat or a dog can understand. But you want to understand more why they're doing that. What are they doing exactly? So I was able to start to articulate and put me really on the path to learn more when I came with contact with this DVD called What in the World They're Spraying. And the director was Michael Murphy. I had Michael on the show several times, at least 2 or 3 times, the last few years since I've been on the air. And he's always trying to find new way to share this information out. Now, I've been out of touch with him for at least probably 1 year. And he called me. He wanted to talk about something. I don't know exactly what. But I'm here, and I would like to give him the microphone. Because first of all, I like to know what he's done, what he's been doing the last few months. And as I said, as an act of love, when somebody tries to do the right thing, sometimes also creating a lot of danger, because, you know, we're talking about things that people, they're being compromised and being, let's put it this way, you start to try to blow the whistle on things like this on mass scale, when you think that how many million of people have been watching documentaries like What in the World They're Spraying, you become an enemy of the establishment, an enemy of the shadow government. That's a fact. So I always say, you know, for me, people like Michael is always a person that I consider, you know, a brother in this, let's say, struggle against this tyranny. And here we are, Michael Murphy from Los Angeles. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am. Luca, thanks for having me on. And wow, what have I been doing? Working quite a bit. Wow, just researching really what turned out initially to be a family trust issue. And it turned out what I've uncovered, what I've learned, to just really be a journey on my life. Had a chance to learn a lot about people in my life, their motives, and really how this relates to the world that we're in today. And I think the word love, you know, is an important word. Often told, I think, those of us who are men not to use that word. The most important thing that we can focus on, that we can do. And oftentimes love comes in different forms. It's not always happy. It's not always angry, but it does. You know, it gets angry at times. It protects. It disciplines. You know, there are many aspects of this word, but, you know, getting to the deep motive of things, we have to look at love and question. Does this person love? Yes or no? That's coming into my life. And if not, what do we do? And you know, speaking of this agenda, we did well in terms of not financially. Financially, it's been a struggle, but we did very well with exposure for smaller documentaries. So both What in the World Are They Spraying, Why in the World Are They Spraying got some decent, and I would say more probably YouTube and free views. We did sell a little bit, enough to sustain. But you know, looking back at all of this, and I'll explain what's going on here in California. Why we're literally in the beginning of what's being called a world war, World War III and IV, which a lot of people aren't aware of, why the mainstream media has not covered it, which they will, I think, tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And really how I got into the geoengineering issue and what I learned after being an appointed trustee in a family trust that I was told was from my father's. Now it was my mother's money, and it was her money, and she could do whatever she wants, and my job as trustee was to sign whatever she wanted. Well, after doing this and now learning that this is the Brown, it's a Brown trust, the Brown family trust, and remarkably, they had just got done, I believe today, having some court hearings on this. And what's amazing was my family never told me about this. When I asked them if they were coming out to California, they told me I was crazy and ridiculous for asking. And I tried to actually get in and testify as a trust. Was physically restrained from going in, prevented from going in, had weapons pulled on me, all kinds of stuff related to this. But, the important thing I think to note is somebody was paid to actually go in utilizing my ID or my name and stating that they were the person called to be involved with this trust. What we learned tonight, we had a big segment not only of our economy removed, taken to overseas and other interests, but not to Africa, actually, to other areas where people wouldn't suspect. And then also land. The land, that's very important, had just, and I'm very angry about this, very emotional, it was just given away. People did not listen to my warnings. I told people that the agenda here in Inglewood, California was to literally come in, put this town and the rest of the nation also has goals, or these folks do, to put the land on land trust.
Okay,
and the problem with this...
Let me ask you something, one second, Ollie. Sorry to interrupt you. I want to people we understand. We are talking about right now like a family, let's say, inheritance or something connected to your family, correct? That's why you went to court for your trust.
No, I didn't go to court. Here's what happened. I grew up in the Chicago area, and I was raised in a family, and it was not a bad life. It didn't seem like a bad life, and I was raised a normal childhood.
Mm-hmm.
What I would think, it was upper middle class, nothing too spectacular. What I had learned, though, after going into the family trust, a whole bunch of things, and this was a significant chunk of our economy, not only with the Murphy Oil, which many people know as Standard Oil, being one of the subsidiaries, and then Motorola on the other side. So after researching this, after being told that this was about a $3.5 million trust, and if I start asking questions, I would be removed and not receive anything. But I found that about 40% of the value was missing. And I called for called for an audit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was met with great resistance from within the family. My life had been threatened, and my life had become a living hell. I had several death threats, usually on a daily basis. I've been wiped out to literally poverty level income. I've been starving many days. It's funny. I'm sitting in a new Mercedes-Benz, and I had gotten this prior to when we were supposed to release in it was May. We didn't. That was Unconventional Gray. That was part 3 of the film. Great film in the structure, but the team that I had brought on, I had learned, and again, this needs to be verified, but I think a few people have confirmed it, that my team was paid by somebody within the movement who infiltrated, literally put in a bunch of unlicensed footage just to create havoc in my project. So I immediately hit the brakes. We didn't release. I've been waiting for an accounting, haven't had that. So there's been a little bit of turmoil, which is kind of embarrassing because I stand behind my work and my funders who have supported me all the way. I did not know there was an investment strategy related to this film that my producer had cut. So I'm pretty disappointed.
Let me ask you some questions. To at least I want to be sure I understand. Like me, of course, probably other listeners. So the point is, you were in the middle of a project, one of your newest documentaries. Let's remind exactly what you did. You did "What in the World They're Spraying." That was the first documentary. By the way, how many people you think you reach on YouTube only for this documentary so far?
I'm not sure. Millions, I guess, maybe 10, 15, maybe even more. But
Yeah.
if we look at the world population, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So
Now,
I think it was successful, for the first couple of films.
after
But-
that, you did Why in the World They're Spraying. That's the second documentary that you produced, correct?
Correct.
Okay, compared to the first one, how the viewers, reacted to that? How many people do you think you reached with that? Was a successful or maybe less successful? What do you think when it comes down to numbers of viewers?
When you look at a numbers game, I in my research, I found out it's really not about numbers. We shouldn't look at numbers because we could have the masses cheering on the wrong person.
Yes.
Which we have right now, which appears to be such. And that's not too difficult to do or manipulate. Those things, for various reasons, can be manipulated. But what progress have we had? And I think the key was this really showed me who was who in the family. And, it was when uncovering that Motorola, that I was a potential heir for Motorola, there was somebody in the movement, and I think a lot of people know who this might be. I'm not going to say the person's name, but they had really recruited me. I had met this person at the first AAAS meeting. This was a geoengineering conference. Really supported me in terms of information, writing an article, and that's what really got me involved with this.
Mm-hmm.
And overnight, I became what people were calling a quote-unquote successful activist.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, I had films. I was traveling around the world. What had happened was this person had actually, in hearings that I was kept out of, and remarkably enough, they did not know where I was. I was being considered to be the heir, or was the named heir, or the appointed heir, from my understanding, in a family trust from the Galvin family, which includes the Motorola company, which is a very important part of our economy. This person had not been able to notify me. He had told family members that he was looking for me, told them I was using drugs and intoxicated, and they had pre-hearings prior to court dates to determine who was going to inherit what. And remarkably enough, this person had worked for an agent. He, with other people, had me under, I think, 24 hours. They were creating products in the community, stating that telling on drug dealers, all kinds of stuff, and just instigating things. Anyways, these things had eventually come out of this. We highly suspect that this person recruited me into the movement to send.
Let me stop you, Mike. There is a problem, unfortunately, right now with communication. The signal is getting poor. I want to, meanwhile, let's see maybe if you can find a better spot. So the point is, after your first two documentaries, What in the World is Spraying, Why in the World They're Spraying, and by the way, I invite everybody out there, watch these videos on YouTube, and if you find this information valuable in understanding what's going on, what they're trying to do with this weather modification / chemtrails programs, buy also a hard copy of the DVD. Okay, because that's also how Michael and people like him support themselves. Now, after this,
and why in the world are they spraying? Please make sure that you get you take out WCGFT found that there's been reenacted.
Michael, I need to call you back because this sound. I'll find a better spot. I'll call you back in 20 seconds. Because this sound is going down weird. Anyway, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. And I'm interviewing right now Michael Murphy, that is the director and also the producer of several documentaries exposing weather modification, also chemtrails. And as you can hear, there is something going on in his private life that is not exactly honky-dory, some drama. Why am I sharing this information right now? Normally, say people we don't care about Michael Murphy's drama, and probably you shouldn't because I know you got your drama. I understand that. But when you see people like Michael Murphy, who really did for me a service to humanity, and people like him who are doing the same type of work, try to expose this evil agenda, and they may have something that it is not our business. I understand. But maybe we should have a little bit of compassion to understand a little bit, or at least to listen to his side. I don't know everything what he's saying is right or not. I don't know. I'm here. But I know that if he needs help, maybe I would like to listen. I think it's my duty to listen. Maybe we can help out. Maybe we can just try to understand. Let me call Michael back, okay? Because Let's see, maybe he's got better signals. Something happened. Try to connect right now with Michael Murphy. And I think he's in Los Angeles right now. He's the director of What in the World. Are you there, Michael?
Yes.
Much better, much better. Okay, please continue. You were saying that pretty much you were the heir of an important, at least, let's say, a family who is connected to big business like the Motorola. Am I right?
Based on my research, yes. And that was something that I did not receive. And the reason was somebody came into the community and he had convinced apparently the family. Showed them a bunch of pictures when I was actually working, stating I was dealing drugs or buying drugs, whatever the case might be.
My question is,
trying to
your family is still alive. I mean, you got father and mother out there. I'm just curious, not on my business, but do you have relatives out there?
I don't. Not. Well, yes, I do. I'm finding some family members, which is very, very exciting. It's been a very long time since I've had that opportunity. So this has been really, it's been a journey for me, and I'm finding that I do have family out here, and maybe even born here in this community. And I definitely have a family line here. I'm learning about the community of Inglewood, where I'm at, and what some of my ancestors did here, and it's just it's amazing, and that's really who we are, we are, what we learn. A lot of our DNA has memory, so things are passed through genetically, gifts and talents and skills. And I found some things about myself. I found certain industries, certain things that people failed to manage within my family while taking over these assets poorly, by the way. And I found myself just to really have some gifts and skills in this area. Anyways. It was
right now. What are you doing, Mike? Let me ask you straightforward. Where are you living right now? You got an apartment? You live in a house? You live in a box? You live in a car? Where are you right now?
Pretty much in the car right now. Yeah, I sacrificed everything for this, and what I learned here. And I'll just cut through the chase. Okay, I was brought into the chemtrail movement. This is not speculation. For many motives, but one of them definitely was because my family appears to be very much involved in these programs. To discredit me in front of the family for the purpose of taking over this industry.
Who is your family, Mike? I mean, if you're talking about family, we're talking about the Murphy family, your father's side. Who is your family in this case you're talking about?
Murphy, Rusnak, Marco, a bunch of things. And I really am, because people they failed to really share with me who I was, who my family was. And again, that was an agenda to take over, transfer wealth from one family to another. There's a lot of confusion. I do know, unfortunately, a lot of family secrets, a lot of things that were very important to the family had gotten out as a result of this negligence. So I'm hesitant to really name names. I know who I am, but I really want to make sure that this is handled in a way that's respectful for all. And to bring somebody into the public eye, not telling them who they are, setting them up, it's really unacceptable. And in doing so, what I can tell you for sure is I've learned a lot of things, which I'll explain in a moment, and where we are today. And Luke, I know that you and I share something. I think that many Americans have, or will, hopefully, and that's the idea of freedom. And I'm not talking about only just having stuff for free. I'm talking about the ability to make decisions for ourselves, the ability to choose the path that we want to travel in our lives, and those things are at risk tonight. So going in and finding out all these things with the geoengineering, while I stand behind the things that I said, I'm learning some of them might have been manipulated a little bit to make fun of me and do sorts of things that were not very cool. I gave my life to this, and I was put in a place of poverty, not only because business partners had ripped me off, but because, it was a sacrifice for me. It was something that I believed in. And if I believe in something, I'm going to put 100% in it. I'm going to work those 18-hour days, 20-hour days now, 21, 22 some days.
So
it's ridiculous.
I want to be sure everybody understand. Right now, you are in a dire situation. You are like, let's say, living on the streets, correct? Michael?
In a sense, and I'll tell you why this is significant.
Yes.
And it's really comes down to what this is about. It's about control. It's about transfer. It started with the idea of transferring this new world order idea, and it was birthed in my home, the home that I grew up in Riverside, Illinois.
Wow.
And yes, and they were the main drivers, and my ancestors controlled quite a bit. And this is not something we typically like to flaunt. We like to even talk about. What I've learned now, after learning the importance of being responsible with this money, it's a chore. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of people that want that money, that want that wealth, that want that power, and they will do a lot to get away with it. I'm learning things such as my family had paid women to date me and to marry me, literally, had paid them money to not only get money, but also get my name so that they could transfer wealth. These are things that had happened. Learning that, it's why so many things happened in my life. I mean, I often use the example of, let's say if you were in a town that I'm in right now, and if somebody put a backpack on your back, put $100,000 in it, and said walk across town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'd probably be in danger in most cities, especially at night.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. Everybody knew, apparently, in this town or the various towns that I've lived in, that I had wealth except for me.
Wow.
And what they did, they created such I believe through payoffs and a lot of other things, they created a system where I was unable to get the account names and passwords. And as a result, everybody, the idea was to spread the wealth, so they did, but they allowed everybody to get this except for me. And I'm in a town here, homeless, watching people who have gotten literally intoxicated from the wealth that my grandfather had left for me, or my father had left for me, and I'm sitting here homeless and hungry, starving,
Wow.
asking people to share a dollar.
So this is like, let's put it this way. You're claiming that you have a conspiracy against yourself that they are denying, and they have denied.
No.
You're right.
No, this is not even denied. I have more documentation, more validation, more proof than anybody could imagine.
I believe, I understand. But conspiracy means that there is a plan, an organized, orchestrated plan to situate you in the spot that you are. I mean, there was like an agenda, to create a plan, a conspiracy. To conspire. Two or more people get together, and they conspire to create a plan to compromise the health or the wealth of somebody. I mean, that's the situation. I mean, right now, let's put it this way. If you had what's supposed to have according to your family record that you're saying, you should not be in the situation you are right now, let's say desperate, looking for $1 to get a lunch. I mean, you tell me things that I feel sorry really for right now, what you're going through, for what you're saying.
And it's really not about me, and again, we talk about money. Would I want to come back and be a multi-billionaire? No. The answer is absolutely not. There's more responsibility than you could imagine. And people picking up large amounts of wealth. Not having that guidance, not having that experience, we're in big trouble. And what we have is a transfer of wealth, which is not, the idea is not a bad idea. So we're looking at this issue of equality. We don't have equality. We have massive pockets of wealth in certain areas, massive pockets of poverty within my community. We have vast differences and variances.
I understand.
You know what that creates? It creates war. It doesn't create peace because there's a pushing and pulling, transferring of wealth. It's very dangerous.
But meanwhile, talking about your family, your life, if you have the right as a birthright of something belonging from your family, given to you to your family, I don't feel sorry. If my grandfather was a billionaire, I wouldn't feel sorry to say, that's what I deserve. That's what is my family right. I would like to have a part of it because, it's not right that somebody else maybe is getting it. But my point right now is, regardless, you are not in a happy spot. You are in a situation that I think it's tough.
Again, it's not about me because this is what I do. Is not my life. It's going to come and go. I'm going to enjoy some days. I'm going to not enjoy others. I'm looking at people now who have my wealth, who are scared to death. They are freaking out. And the reason is this. When you talk about birthright, a lot of people really don't understand the importance of it, especially my family that took this. And if they would have known, they wouldn't have done it. And the reason is this. We spoke about DNA having memory, and that's very important. And because of that, certain traits, certain skills, those are passed down from generation to generation. So you look at families, certain families like the Brown family, excellent wrestlers, great wrestlers, okay? That's passed down through DNA. And if this was respected, the family order, none of this would have happened. And I'll tell you, you don't even know what's happening. I'm telling you, we are in a major crisis.
Tell me.
No mistakes like this would have happened.
Tell
and
me.
Because that DNA gives the memory. I know banking, although I've never studied.
Mm-hmm.
I just seem to know this issue and how to manage this and how to solve it. And that's not boasting. That's what I know. And that's because of the family order, and that's why it needed to be respected. And that's sacred. These things are sacred, and there's a reason they were sacred.
Okay.
And if you violate that, so what's ironic was I had people arguing over why I shouldn't get my inheritance. Oh, we saw Michael smoking. Oh, he was intoxicated. Oh, he swore at this person. And this attorney, my mother's fraud attorney, he had everybody arguing and confused. And he had a group here. They had a meeting here in Inglewood that I was trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I get there, everybody wanted to kill me. I said, what's going on? We saw you smoking. I'm like, so what? Well, you blew it for us. I said, what do you mean I blew it for you? Well, you can't inherit anything. I said, what are you talking about? Well, you can't smoke this and inherit land. I said, show me where it says that in the documents. Show me it doesn't. It was birthright, that is sacred. An attorney can't come in and change what my grandfather was, what my relatives left for me. And the judge can't do it.
Wow.
A mother can't do it. Nobody can do it, period.
Wow. So let's say, let me be sure I understand.
So
They were trying to, let me be sure I understand. They're trying to use the fact that whatever your choice you have of lifestyle, somehow will compromise, or at least had compromised your right to inherit what your grandfather left you, correct?
And it cannot compromise.
No, I understand, but
period.
it cannot.
So what they tried to do, somebody using this fraud attorney's name, his name was, I call him Enroth, he's from Hinsdale, Illinois. I had been threatened multiple times every day, and especially a lot of arrest threats. So when like for example this morning, there was some stuff that was transferred today. And I knew stuff was going to be transferred when the police were called several times. I mean, there were arrest warrants.
Wow.
You know, this has happened not once or twice. This has happened over 73 times.
Oh, my gosh.
These things. When I had people shooting at me, I think I was shot at probably, 3 or 4 times in the past hour. Okay? Something I said, was Enroth here? Was Enroth here? Why would you ask that? I said, look at you guys. You guys want to kill me. What did he say? So this guy's running around planting seeds of dissent, tearing the community apart, thinking that somehow this is about me and me not being homeless. No, it's not about me being homeless. Okay? I can handle that if I had chosen that path. He has convinced people that drugs had put me in the spot of homelessness. Let me tell you something. This is a multi-billion-dollar trust. This fraud attorney stated he made $103 billion off of this, and my mother is now homeless, or right before she passed, if that's true. $103 billion? You can't smoke that in 20 lifetimes. That's ridiculous. So you're going to say that no, he put me in the spot of homelessness. His failure to provide what he was legally obligated to give me, and if I sound angry, I'm serious.
Well, I'm sure you are. Why. You have any legal, let's say, representation? Somebody would be like your lawyer, and even right now you don't have the funds. Maybe when they look at your case, they may say, wait a second, I want to be your lawyer. You have any lawyer?
You want to hear the irony of it?
Tell me.
I've been asking for 2 things. I don't typically like, when I know an issue well enough, I don't need a representative, so somebody to represent me, because I know what my motives are right now based on what I've seen. A family who has not only turned their back, but totally sold me down the river, put me into more danger than you could ever imagine, than anybody could ever imagine. Obviously I have what they call trust issues for many reasons. I have what's called I'm a secured party creditor, which gives me certain powers, certain authorities. And now that I have land, I do have the ability to make certain decisions. The irony of this is I'm sitting out here begging for a couple of bucks because I've been taking that thing into banks. Chase Bank was going under, and this attorney stole, from what I've heard, we need to verify this, stole my bond, either $100 billion or $300 billion. This can finance governments, this can finance communities, this can do a whole lot. But I can't do it alone because I walk in, they've told people I'm a drug addict, I'm homeless. How could this guy have, something? He's Mike Murphy, that rich guy's brother who's a liar. These things aren't true. Okay, I'm the real person. This is what I found in my research. But there were laws that were passed here in Inglewood to not help people in my situation. Laws passed.
Wow.
For the purpose of putting me in a position where I'm hungry, where I'm starving.
Why are you still there? Why are you still there in Inglewood? Because I know, when I used to be in Los Angeles, I know the area. It is not exactly the most, let's say, friendly area. It's an inner. It's a tough area. Okay, and do you have any?
I came to do one of two things. I came to live or die here. I'm going to do one of two things, either live or die here. And tonight's probably going to make the difference of it, and I'll tell you why. There is, right now, we had government securities that were in my trust, and I had the revelation to contact this fraud attorney. He refused to give them to me. I called up my mother. She swore at me. I called up my brother, Keith. He told me everything was great. I said, no, it's not. I said, we got trouble. They didn't listen to me. They wouldn't listen to me. I told them we had, over 4.5 years ago, I had visions, dreams, seeing this. What I saw scared the hell out of me. And I'm very afraid tonight. I'm sitting on what's called the fault zone. I'll explain what that is in a second. Government securities they expired. Okay? These funded a lot of foreign governments. There were commitments that the U.S. had. Those commitments were not being made. What I know today is, I know that our gold reserves are gone. And I'll tell you the real concern. With those missing, my guess is, because I wasn't involved with this, that based on the fact that they used my signature as trustee fraudulently to withdraw billions of dollars, maybe even more than that, of cash. Balasso, Dinverno, and Fultz, Jim King was the person who was orchestrating that. Definitely led me down to sign things based on fraud. Not good. But not only did it do that, it compromised our national security in a major way, and I'll tell you why. The cash reserves were run out. That's no secret here. But also, it just gets worse and worse. God. But also, as I said, our gold and our silver, those were given to foreign countries. I had roommates that had stolen up to, in one case, $300 million. And just recently, $850 million. That was the last of the money of the U.S., and that was held, I believe, in Bank of America. I had called Bank of America a number of times, knowing that those accounts were there. People knew, because they heard me, whether it was roommates, they knew that I was not going to get the money, so they thought they'd go ahead and do it, not realizing that kind of cash withdrawal during this time, in a very volatile time, would just crash the entire banking market. So,
Michael,
I watch
let me stop you. Let me stop you 1 second, because I tell you, I let you talk because I'm really shocked at the things you're telling me, because I know, as a documentary director, as a freedom activist, and I have a lot of respect for you. And I tell you, at the same time, I want to say, my God, the things you're saying almost sounds like out of a movie of some sort of a sci-fi movie. Like a thriller movie, like a spy movie. Okay. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to tell you, but my God, I had no idea what's going on here. And all I can say, do you have anything that we can, not because you need to prove it to me, but to the world? Because what's happening to you, I think it's something that it's really serious. But we need to also try to reach out. You have a lot of people out there that they like your work. They respect you for what you've done. And maybe, to make you feel even less alone, try to help you out. Let's give them some opportunity to say, by the way, Michael Murphy is going through these things, and you have you're saying very serious statements here. Do you have anything you can put out to convalidate your very serious allegations and statements that I believe can be very true?
More than you could ever imagine. And there's been a lot of stuff just sent to me anonymously. There's a multitude of witnesses. People don't realize I have what I call my little narc team, and they don't tell on people for doing stuff, in their private homes, which a lot of people are doing now, but they do protect us, some of us, and those I call my angels. There's definitely spiritual revelation. But Luca, when I wake up in the morning, oftentimes I think, oh my God, I can't believe I was thinking this last night. It's so ridiculous. This is just, it's too much. And then only to find out that, oh God, I have documentation. Okay. Hopefully this is some big joke. Okay. Hopefully this is a mind control joke program, and I can wake up and realize that what I found, and we haven't even gotten to the real problem yet. I'm just praying that hopefully this was something more. I went to a mental hospital. They gave me a clean bill of health. They said psychosis not due to drugs or mental illness. That was changed and put all over the internet by somebody trying to discredit me, follow the money. Just ridiculous. So, I have seen a physician. This fraud attorney's been threatening to try to get me on an eval 24 hours so they can lock me up and kill me. They've tried that.
Wow.
Ridiculous. Torturing, all kinds of things. But here's the problem. So we have this agenda to crash the markets, and because that's an agenda, my family, or at least they saw it. Now I hope they're listening. I pray to them, and please pray, everybody, for the well-being. I don't approve of what they did. I don't like it. I'm angry, but I think there's more going on. I think my mother was abused. I know she was. So if you're in Riverside, look in the basement, please. My family needs you right now. I've been talking to people on the phone that sound like them. It's not them, man. It's a mother does not turn her back on a child who's starving and say, I'm not helping you just because I can. Say no. Things like that. It's not my mother and my brother. I just had a feeling they were coming out here.
Wow.
And if they did,
Wow.
I think there are a couple of people there, which gets into an even deeper subject. But please, folks, and if you're part of this, bring them back to me. There'll be no judgment. We just need things to get back into order for the community. The reason is this. We have our oil reserves were shipped far, far away, all of them. And from what I'm told is we only have a couple days of oil left. And I saw this, and when I saw it, I freaked out months ago in April, screaming at the top of my lungs. And that was, it's almost like a travel time. And I have had conflicting reports, people that have looked online, and it looks like we have 20 years left. And then I have heard people that have actually gone and found them. Verify this, please. Which, again, I am praying I'm wrong about this, but that was not anticipated in this collapse. Their idea was to collapse the market, bring it back up, consolidate power, and maybe create a more strong world, which wasn't feasible based on their structure. It just wasn't. I can guarantee you that. So they overlooked a couple of things, and that's because they were taking on my calling. And anyways, let's look at what tomorrow morning, and I don't think it would be tomorrow, but sometime let's go down a couple of weeks, or I'm sorry, a few days. So maybe Monday, Tuesday. Mm-hmm. You get in your car, driving to work, and you realize, oh God, I probably should get some gas. And you go to the pump, and there's nobody's able to get gas. You go to the next one. We ran out of gas. This is happening now. This is happening in states. So what does that day look like? And how do you get home? Maybe you don't. Maybe you hitch a ride. You're lucky to find somebody who had more gas. But then you wake up the next day, and you realize, wow, maybe I should get some food because I can't get to work. And you go to the grocery store, and the shelves have already been cleared off because people realize without gas, for the most part, there are other energies, but those big freighters and those big trucks aren't going to be running that much. And the reason is this. Some people say now we have engines that run on water. We're going to be okay. No. Oil, we're still dependent upon oil, big time. And it's a very important part of our society, whether you love it or hate it, we're still dependent on it. And to pull it out immediately in one day, which should take probably 20, 30 years, to take it just from us in one day and thinking that we will meet our energy budget with removing a large segment, maybe 72%, That's a rough guesstimate, maybe even higher. Removing that from our energy budget, thinking that solar and a couple of generators that won't work anyways because they're run on what? Gas and oil, that we are going to meet that energy budget. So we're looking at a scenario where we're not going to have vehicles running in. And then, well, we're going to have electricity. No, we're not, because the guys that can't get to work because of the oil will not be going and doing their job generating electricity. And then that has issues that have to relate with clean water. So there's clean water. Water engines aren't working anymore. And then you have a scenario that we're looking at food. No more food, no electricity, no power, no nothing. No life, period. No life. We're looking at a scenario that I've been experiencing for the past couple of weeks. Extreme hunger at times, thirst where my tongue swells up, and we're in trouble. And the reason is this, okay? I'm supposed to be the richest man in Inglewood. Everybody benefited from my trust. It was like open season. And I'm not really angry about that. It's just, something, my anger is not going to solve this about that, nor is my judgment. Right now, we have to work together as a community. I can't stress that. Our terrorist attacks plan now, tonight. A tsunami, which apparently was canceled again. So look at, the history of tsunami warnings. I've been studying this, and issue related to our beautification plans here in Inglewood. And then if you look about 4.5, 5 miles off of the coast of California, all the way up and down, I think, to San Diego. Up north, I have a friend who was a mayor in Tiburon, and they were, I think, doing the same types of things. Anyways, there was because we went into a deficit here. We went from being a township into a city council, which relates to
Michael,
me.
let me stop you. Let me stop you 1 second, Michael. I need to somehow focus on a couple of things here. As I said, what you're saying, it is very serious, and I tell you, if I didn't know you, if I didn't know all the work you've done, I thought you were crazy. I want to be honest, okay? I said, what the heck are you talking? I know that you have a lot of credibility.
I hope they're right. I hope they're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
I know that is the first time. Michael, I talked to you several times. We had several interviews. This is the first time that I hear you in a way that almost you come out of as I said, as a spy movie, like you know something that the world doesn't know. It's really serious, because normally we have completely different conversation. We talk about your documentaries, about chemtrails, government. This is something that it is almost hard to believe. But, I have an open mind, and more important, I think, if you need help, I want to be here. At least the first thing we should know, have an open mind to listen. Because I tell you something.
Let's look at what that help is, because a couple of things they tried to do.
Yeah.
And when I talk about terrorist activities, credible, I've got evidence right there.
Yes,
DW,
please.
Dane's name is on these programs, controlling the military. Dane Wigington, the very person that got my oil inheritance, got Motorola inheritance. Now he just screwed us with the land. He owns everything now. All of that power consolidated in one area. And what does that equate to? Dictatorship, control, whatever the hell he wants to do. That guy believes in depopulation. Depopulation. I'm looking at a whole coast. Right now they've been interfering with the plate tectonics. Am I upset? You better believe I am. When you find credible documentation, whether it sounds crazy or not, you have lunatics like that, power hungry, that have some, and he's family. This is my half-brother, I'm finding out.
Really?
He's family.
Wow.
Damn it. And you talk about these things, and he's convincing everybody that for somehow I have a mental health issue. I would say consolidating that much power is really a problem. My words, my concern for humanity, that's not a problem. That's a solution. That's a warning. And if I'm wrong about these terrorist attacks, which I am not, these are credible. This is homegrown terrorism. It is by an infiltration at the highest level of our military. This is the U.S. military. They're planning on blaming Princess Basma bint Saud, which is right now, or was, with Dane Wigington. No question about that. That's proof. So you're not going to blame the Saudi. We have a very, very rough relationship right now with Saudi Arabia. I have relations with the family. I'm homeless, trying to negotiate a return for her. Are you freaking kidding me? Is that how much you disrespect this country? This country. I'm fighting for it. You're making me homeless because you think you're going to somehow get away with this? We're on verge of nuclear war. We have Russia, literally. If people listen, in California right now, we're being invaded in South Los Angeles. Why? Because my securities that I inherited were held on by this fraud attorney. I'm so angry right now because I know people are getting hurt. I know people are dying. My family members, 22 of them, from what I've heard. I'm really upset. And people are calling me a lunatic. Don't,
Michael, what can we do to help?
don't judge me unless you research. My words are spoken based on research.
Yes, and that's what
All
I'm
right.
trying to say. What
This
we
is
can
not-
do to
Now,
help
I
you.
might be angry, and if I'm not, there's something wrong. There's something wrong if people are not angry.
Oh,
All
listen.
right? I was left here by my family to die. Dane, he's in Central America.
Wow. Listen.
Somebody looks like him here. Somebody looks like him here. Look at the company called Oregon Ovo. Just research it. You'll figure it out. What's going on, and that's a major thing.
I
But let me
want
tell you
to. I want to call.
when I have people blaming myself and my other half brother Barack Obama, which we are related, our names are on this.
Wow.
Okay, it's not going to happen. And there is a plan to overthrow the government here in California, and it started off with California. Now it's orchestrated around the world, and there will be either two things will happen. We can lose everything tonight, everything that we believe in. Plan B with this project. This is not speculation. It contained, well, let's just say this. Plan B contained plans to change our government. And after a state of emergency due to whether it was an attack or a big earthquake, they were going to come in, claim martial law, remove people from their homes. And I'm seeing them run the buses tonight. They are doing this tonight here in California. This is happening. I've been watching them. So they're running people into FEMA camps. I've stayed in the FEMA camps. I've broken into the FEMA camps to see. I've been through a lot, but true. So,
Michael, where did you get this information about this
the name
plan?
and the face. The reason I am involved in this, the woman that I was brought here, misled here, they paid a woman to mislead me out. Bless her heart, because they took advantage of her too. She was related to our president. And that's where the irony comes. So she was involved, I was caught in the middle, and right now I am. And I'm not going to stand here silent and watch a man get framed for overthrowing the government, creating a one-world government. It's not going to happen. And I've been trying to get this community together for a very long time, not to change their plans, but to just share with what I'm sharing tonight. We've got, that wouldn't even work. If you're going to overthrow the government, we got Russia right now, we have Canada, other countries that are claiming everything that we've worked for collateral. How did this happen? How did we get into debt? That was something that was birthed in the home that I grew up in. Can you believe that? You don't. And that's okay with me.
No, listen, I am, as I said, I'm just in shock. It is.
I am.
Because the things you're telling me, it is normal to be in shock. I mean, it would have been no normal to don't be in shock. And I say only one thing. I learned in my little life here, in my journey, learning the things that normally I would have laughed years ago, to be, first of all, have an open mind that anything can happen. We are living a very surreal world. It's almost a matrix. It is. And all the things we knew that were somehow the truth, they were lies. So I have an open mind to everything. My only point is always to say, I want to try to always find things to corroborate the things we're saying, because that's the point. You bring names, for example, and I had that person on my show. I would going to call him. I need to ask. I need to always at least know every side. But my point is, what you're saying, for sure, one thing right now, you are in a situation that no human being should be right now. I mean, you are in a spot that it is not a happy spot. It is not something that a person should stay, especially when you have a family. You shouldn't stay, even if you have a personal problem, you shouldn't stay right now living on the street like a homeless. That's not right. I just hope...
Well, you know what?
You know?
Nobody should. And that's
should.
the thing. Nobody should. We have so many resources in this country. We have the ability in a balanced system where everybody can thrive if they want. You know, those things are available to us. They always were. You know, so
I understand.
People set me up with Federal Reserve shirts, ban the Federal Reserve. You know, it wasn't a bad system. It was people that consolidated all this wealth and held on to it. And with that, you get tremendous wealth and then extreme poverty. We have that now all over. We have, in Saudi Arabia, there was this issue of Saudi Arabia got framed for this $350 million.
Michael, again, how did you get?
And it makes sense because people are starving.
I understand. How did you get these plans or this information about what could happen, this potential, let's say, false flag, and of course coming through the agenda, martial law? How did you get? What type of proof you can bring?
They got so damn arrogant. They put an ad on Craigslist because what had happened, I was getting kicked out of many places. I think I went through 5 rooms in probably 4 months of roommates just kicking me out after they got into my finances. And it got so ridiculous, and there was so much wealth that, again, I had no access to. I started learning that it was there. And this is not speculation. I wish it was, but my roommates they were flaunting it. They come home with new cars, show me their ID with my name on it. People were. I was walking into the bank here that my ancestors founded, and going in because I didn't have account numbers, didn't even know what my name was before they changed it as an infant, and really just going from intuition and trying to put pieces together and being told I was crazy and shame. What do you owe? Somebody said you look into this account, just telling this does not exist when all the other things supported the fact that it did. It put me into an area where it was just too obvious. I mean, when you walk into a bank and you use somebody's name that definitely left you, some money, that had some wealth and some assets, and they won't give you any information because you don't have the account number. Well, is it that easy? Can somebody just change names and hold on to a trust, which is not public, and steal everything in front of your face? That's what happened. We had a nation that just became not only bankrupt, broke. And people are used to benefits that, especially in my town, my family, through my inheritance, they paid for public benefits. And I kept on warning people, don't spend this. Pretty soon it's going to run out. Please, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, help me. And it was really a point of desperation. I'm not, and screaming sometimes at the top of my lungs, trying to say, people wake up, we're all down this path. I need your help, I need your help. Nobody would help me. So
listen to me 1 second. As I said, I'm not there. I give you the microphone, and I'm glad that you're sharing all the information you can. But at this point, I need to focus on one thing I know for sure. You're a human being who needs some help right now. And I think you've done a lot to wake up the rest of us with your documentary.
Been asking for administrative and computer help, and that's what I need.
Okay, so let's spell it out. What do you need?
How
can people can reach you? Michael, how can people reach you? If you want to be reached, somebody wants to help you. How can people reach you, first of all?
If they want to help right now, if they're in California, right now I'm in Inglewood. Now, this is right on the fault zone, what I call the fault zone. The plan is to drop this into the ocean, getting rid of a huge land deal in Northern California that had my name on it, Barack Obama's name on it, the fraud attorney's name on it. That was not me, but their plan is there's a land issue, okay, with Mexico, with the U.S., a lot of people making claims. This is something that Mexico should be respected. If there was a land deal that we had and we're on Mexico's land, we need to start talking. We need to sit down.
Michael,
not drop their land.
How can people can help you right now?
That's not a way to solve a problem. Some people view our brothers and sisters in Mexico as a problem. No, they're not a problem.
I understand, Michael. Michael, listen to me. 1 second, Michael. I understand. Listen to me, Michael. 1 second, please. My focus right now is somebody wants to help you. Forget about Mexico. Forget about anything else. Want to give you some help. How can we help you?
First of all, acknowledge what's going on. An effective mind control program. You could get a whole entire city mocking me. Doesn't mean it's public opinion. It doesn't mean they're right. We've seen that. We've seen a lot of weapons deployed. Listen, man, the family's waking up. Stop. Do what's right. That's what we ask you to do. Okay? My greatest hope was that I'm just wrong. And I still hope that, but unfortunately, too much is coming through. Now what needs to be done, you need to do the right thing. And there are huge investments with this project. I think it's a $19 trillion operation, at least after this earthquake. man, these people's lives. You don't just drop people into the ocean because you think they're quote unquote clones or not conscious. You know what? That's a bad judgment. It really is. And plus, you know what?
How can people can contact you in case they have more questions about that and they want to help you? Is there a way to contact you directly?
Yes, I can be contacted. Now, my phone, as you might imagine, apparently a lot of people have been trying to get in touch with me. It's not working. This is a cloned phone. So it's going through a call center, whatever. They're just not forwarding a lot of my calls. For every call that I miss, they will be fined $2 million state of California law in a state of emergency, which we are in. That's not even negotiable. So this is, and more, we're going to put more penalties on it if we can.
Michael, give the number out. Give a number out. We have 1 minute.
310-431-8890. My email is Murphy216Owino, O-W-I-N-O, @gmail.com. That's a family that had, we had some ups and downs, but basically they supported me in a number of ways, probably more they could imagine. Here during my stay, it was a rough time, but I learned a lot from them, so I want to thank them with that respect. Murphy216Owino @gmail.com. In no way are we affiliated with certain things, so please don't assume that, but that was an easy name for me to remember. And again, no violence, folks. Too many people have gotten hurt. That's not the solution. Let's work on a solution. We need to get people
Michael,
back with their families.
I want to say something, Ollie. I pray for you right now, and I just pray that you will find at least some relief out of all this. And I say, everybody who's been mentioned on the show is welcome to be on the show. I'm here. I give the microphone to everybody because the point is I want to listen from everybody. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I would like to have at least the opportunity to talk about whatever you think is right, whatever you think is important, and then the listeners can judge.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD Don't Trade on Us, free ebook How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port Don't Trade on Us for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.